Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the, or do I have to?
Well, you
I
don't
think
have
it's
to say
yeah.
everyone.
Welcome, everyone, to the Portsmouth Police Budget Public Hearing for fiscal year 25-26. I am Kate Coyle, one of the commissioners, and I have Commissioner, do you want to?
I'm Commissioner Scher.
Commissioner Fernald.
And I guess to the extent I will ask that the meeting be called to order. With respect to, this is a tough budget cycle. I think it's a tough budget cycle across the city. What we see is that the city council voted for 2.9% guidelines for the city budget, and for the police department, and the chief and deputy chief will take over. But so much of the budget for the PD is integrally tied to compensation of the officers, and particularly integrally connected to union contracts that have been pre-negotiated. So it makes for a pretty tricky budget time, given that the constraints of the 2.9% guidelines. But Chief, unless anyone else has anything else, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you. My name is Chief Mark Newport, and I will present to you our preliminary budget proposal for FY26. As Chair Coyle has stated, we have given guidelines of a 2.9% increase, and this budget proposal here will reflect on what that will look like. With that said, we also show what a status flat budget would be, which you'll see further in here, and then we'll also talk about what a 0% budget would look like. So with that said, we're also going to seek the public's input tonight, and afterwards via email you can contact me or commissioners directly at the police commission's at our police commission meeting this month, which is February 25th, I believe.
February 18th.
18th?
No, 19th.
19th, excuse me, February 19th, and then we have a following meeting in March. We welcome your comments and look forward to discussing the FY budget proposal. I'm going to start with highlighting some of our accomplishments the department has achieved to this date. In September, the department was awarded the New England Association of Chiefs Police Community Policing Award. This award honors a department that demonstrates community-focused, problem-oriented policing, grounded in the belief that the police are part of the community, and as such, we must work in partnership with those that we serve. As the application was submitted in May, highlighting a case that was representative of the ongoing teamwork between patrol officers, investigations, and help from the public to solve cases in the city that led to the arrest and conviction of perpetrators. Some of the goals we try to achieve is currently we're in the process of a Citizens Police Academy. Part of our community policing partnership includes offering the public a view into our police department and to see what we do and what we're about. Through these classes, the public can be informed and invested in their police department. This is something we've done in the past, but through COVID and through budget and recruiting, staffing issues, we weren't able to do it. But it's been reinstated, and it's currently, I think, in its third class today, going on as we speak. Topics that will be covered include laws of arrests, cold case analysis, drone unit, investigations, and all the other activities that we perform in the police department. Continuing on the theme of the goals we have achieved this year, in addition to teaching classes to the public, safety classes and how to avoid fraud classes and internet safety classes for parents. It's the mission of the department to integrate with our community in any way we can. Pictured here is a montage of the different events we host, participate in, and teach throughout the year. They include things like National Night Out, the BIPOC Festival, Cops with Kids, social hours at senior living facilities, maintaining our Explorer program, conducting citizen surveys, working with school parent-teachers associations, serving Thanksgiving lunch to seniors, And we also are involved in charity events such as the Special Olympics Torch Run, Battle of the Badges, Blues for Bucks, that supports the Rockingham County Child Advocacy Center, the annual fire truck pull that benefits children of fallen patriots, and many more activities. Our investment in the community is real and embedded in the policing philosophy we embrace. This is showing also the involvement of members in our community when we're investigating cases, and we reach out through social media when we need the help of our community has stepped up to assist us with a tip and heads up reporting something that's suspicious or stepping forward if they witness a crime, which has helped us solve cases. Another achievement for the year was we added the addition of a social worker. She was hired less than a year ago and has hit the ground running. Her duties include crisis intervention, advocacy, community outreach, mediation, education and support services, as well as referring people who need assistance with housing, substance misuse, and mental health needs. This new position is evolving to meet the needs of the community and will adapt to the needs of the community. She collaborates with police officers as well as local recovery centers, mental health agencies, the welfare department, shelters, school department, and child and senior services. This was a much-needed position in the department, and Brooke has already made an impact in so many lives. She's also become a valuable asset in patrol with the multiple mental health calls for service. In addition to Brooke, we have a crime analyst, Casey Graham. She's centralized our crime statistics, mapping, and requests for information. She's also taken over an internal crime bulletin and provides significant information on the weekly patrol activity to staff. Restoring this position will also be pivotal in meeting the recommendations submitted by the resident advocacy group and commission approved once our new CAT RMS system is up and running this fall. Some of the equipment that we've purchased that's helped us achieve our goals and being more efficient is the department's added 2 electric bikes to our fleet, which we've used significantly more now with the rail trail. These bikes gives officers police options to engage with the community. They're used for routine patrol and special events as they allow officers to patrol through crowds and respond to city events where patrol cars can't get. In addition to this, we've got the FARO 3D imaging system, which is cutting-edge technology for investigations of all types. For example, this past weekend where we had the fatal accident on Lafayette Road, this piece of software significantly reduced the amount of time it took us to process the scene. It provides investigators the ability to process a crime scene much faster, preserving important evidence. Once the imaging and mapping is completed, it provides access to a view walkthrough and a 3D image crime scene virtually versus relying on static pictures. The end product can also be used as evidence in prosecuting a case. Another large capital improvement plan was a purchase of the new TASER 10. This has a maximum range of about 45 feet. Probes travel at about 200 feet per second, and it has 10 probes, which provides more precise deployment and attributes to allow more time to de-escalate a situation and resolve conflicts, preventing injuries from officers and people who would have to detain. We've been rolling out this TASER 10s in phases over the last few months. As you can see in the slide here, Axon has also developed a virtual training environment, and this training function is included in our Axon package and provides officers with realistic scenarios which to train on the TASER. Another accomplishment of the department was Max's Law in memory of our former K-9 Max, who died from an injury sustained during training. Our Portsmouth Police K-9 unit has been the forefront of writing Max's Law, named for our former K-9. The law allows all licensed EMT and paramedics to provide pre-hospital care and emergency transport of sick or injured operational police canines to a veterinary care facility. New Hampshire Op Canine, a nonprofit comprised of paramedics, canine handlers, and veterinary professionals, provide EMS personnel and canine handlers with specialized skills and knowledge. The training aims to enhance the overall emergency response capabilities and foster collaboration between EMS and canine units. The hope that this will increase the survival and ability to continue to serve their community. Going into the FY26 budget areas of focus continue. Number one is hiring, recruiting. It goes without saying we've had a rough 5-year span recruiting qualified candidates to fill vacancies from an unprecedented number of resignations and retirements. Recruiting has been and will continue to be a major focus in FY26. We've seen an uptick in applicants wanting to be police officers. However, we've had more success hiring a substantially number of experienced lateral officers from other police departments. The advantage of that is it allows a shorter training period, as an officer has already attended the police academy, and prior experience benefits their field training process. We've also experienced issues finding experienced dispatchers or people who are interested in training as a dispatcher. Our personnel and training lieutenant has used every recruiting tool available to him and has netted solid results. He consistently fills all our open positions at the start of a fiscal year, but where we are lagging behind is trying to keep up with the attrition. However, as we project a slowdown, we are a young department with fewer staff close to retirement. This has been a cyclical process over the years, and we're lucky in that we've fared much better with candidates than many other departments in the area. Another area of focus that we will continue on in FY26 is the 30 by 30 initiative, which helps in our recruiting. Currently, women across the nation comprise only 14% of sworn officers. The 30 by 30 initiatives have set a goal for a woman to be 30% of our sworn staff here by 2030. We are a little over a third of the way now. In this picture here, you'll see 3 of our current 7 female police officers in the police force. As we are looking forward in the process of trying to get a new police facility, we've been seeking this facility since 2014. This project is moving forward, has met some initial waypoints. Recently, the mayor has appointed a blue ribbon committee to review the police department and the city hall complex. A short time ago, as a first step, the new committee took a tour of the whole complex. A staffing study is currently being conducted in tandem to work with the Blue Ribbon Committee. This study is being handled by the Matrix Consultant Group. They will review the operations facility and make recommendations on staffing levels that in the end impact the size of our police facility. And we are expecting the results of that in the middle of this budget process sometime in May. We're going to continue on with accreditation as we are CALEA accredited, but New Hampshire has recently added a state accreditation. We'll continue to work towards that next top tier in the reaccreditation process with CALEA. In addition to that, we will also be working through the New Hampshire accreditation. Fortunately, as being a CALEA accredited department, the majority of the standards that are qualified for the New Hampshire state we already meet, so this is should not be a big lift for our department to achieve. Another upgrade to the department is the bringing on the body worn cameras. Currently, we're working on a standard operating procedure to ensure our program complies with state and federal laws, as well as best practices for the operation of the entire program and deployment. In addition to the body-worn cameras, we'll be upgrading the interview rooms, recording systems in our current interview rooms. Our current system is at end of life and impact all 3 interview rooms in the PD. which includes 2 interview rooms and investigations and 1 in the patrol police lobby. This system provides audio and video coverage during police interviews. The multi-source surveillance video reader we currently have is less than optimal. The system takes video submitted by a business and digital security system and reads it. Video comes in many formats, and current system is unable to read all those formats. So basically, all these different people who have their at-home video cameras, businesses downtown, they all can be on different formats, and the current system that we have is not compatible to a lot of those systems, but the new Axon system has the ability to play any type of video. As we continue in our current facility, you can go to the next slide, Karen. We have some funding in our CIP that we've had to try to upgrade our back parking lot, where our police fleet and staff vehicle parking is. Currently, the lot is unsecured and has been identified as an evaluation that's an area that is not in compliance and best practices, and we'll be working with DPW to evaluate and get pricing to move forward to complete that project. After the staffing study, it's customary to review beat boundaries and take into consideration multiple points to deploy our resources in the most efficient way. The department will research the value of adding accident investigation mapping to our current drones. Adding this capability may allow the department to open up roadways sooner after an accident, while also providing aerial evidence we currently don't get from the ground angle. Now, this would be in addition to what I talked about earlier on the FARO system, because this is something that attaches to the current drones that we have to give us another view to help process scenes. Another focus area is the continued development that started many years ago with projects like Portwalk Place and the Viridian to where we are today and into the future. The development is hitting all areas of the town, and here are some of the downtown and West End areas as examples. This is another slide showing different areas of the city where there's been development. Another area that we cover is the Pease Trade Port. Pease Airport is increasing flights requiring more police coverage. In the surrounding areas, a 360 apartment project, along with others being considered. Overall, the new development citywide on top of the development over the past 20 years has not only changed the landscape of the city, but also how we deliver services. We are not alone in this challenge. The fire department, DPW, water, sewer, parking, schools, and other departments are impacted as well, and it's a challenge. There are more cars, more citywide assets to protect, more influx of people living, visiting, and accesses in the businesses in these buildings. Looking at the budget impacts and the highlights. As we stated before, the majority of our budget increase is made up of fixed costs. As you can see here, the cost increase with steps, the COLAs, insurance, other operating, computer maintenance, costs with gasoline, phones, cell phones, recruiting, etc. Shows an increase of $850,000, which is 5.28%. So when you look at how we serve the public in a fiscally efficient way, we prepared a budget with no new positions, no new programs. As you can see, the primary financial impact in our budget is contractual obligations. As we said last year, the changes made in the new contracts address the challenges we've had experience over the past several years regarding recruitment and retention efforts for both officers and dispatchers, and we're seeing a positive effect of that. The second major impact is the financial cost of our new CAD RMS system, which is our computer operating system, which is kind of the heart and soul of everything we do within the computer, within the department, our computer operating system. The new service maintenance agreement that includes interface costs for affiliated software needed totals $205,901, a substantial increase. In addition, we have the normal increases of gas, phone, and recruiting costs and other small items. If you look at this budget, it shows our FY25 budget, comparison to the FY26 budget, and then the guidelines set to stay at 2.9%. As I stated earlier, if we were to stay at a status quo budget, it would come out to 5.83%. To get down, which is an increase of $850,000. To stay at the 2.9% as requested, it'd be an increase of $423,000. And so therefore, we need to reduce our cost by $427,000, or 2.93%. Going down to a 0% budget would cut $850,000 out of it. By reducing the budget by over $400,000 will be a reduction of positions that we recently restored, and after the significant cuts from 2008 to 2012 during an economic crisis. We're looking at current vacancies. Of the 6 officer vacancies we have now, we are confident 2 will be filled by May 2025 Police Academy. That leaves 4 sworn vacancies that we may look to stagger hire dates and funding based on the Police Academy schedule. It's important to note there are only 3 Police Academy sessions a year. As a result, it is important to have your hires through the background process and hired well before the 3 class dates are offered, as the Academy fills up fast. If you can't get your officer in, you either have to go on a wait list or you have to wait until the next session, which is a 4-month wait. As stated earlier in the presentation, our P&T lieutenant has consistently filled all the open vacancies as of the fiscal year of July 1st. It's also important to remember that a new officer can take close to a year to get on the road solo, and a lateral certified officer could be 4 to 6 months. In the meantime, we fill on overtime, taxing the officers already working a 10-hour shift, and order ends are frequent. We have no shift relief in our dispatchers present, and we have little shift relief in patrol, but we can at least cover partial shifts at certain times during the 24-hour day. However, the rest of the time, we have to cover the openings on overtime. We'll be reviewing combination works. We will be reviewing what combination works, seek input from the public and the city manager's office. A 0 increase would result in a cut of $850,000. We'd likely have to cut approximately 8 positions. We would anticipate more attrition as a direct impact of cuts this deep. Officer fatigue, morale, and production would suffer. Service to the public would reduce to just reactive tasks. Longer response times and minor crimes would likely not be investigated. We'd no longer be able to provide the service we currently do. As illustrated on the side, the police budget is primarily staffing, salary, and benefits at 85%. The other operating is 8% of the total budgeted funds, and overtime is 5%. Here's a breakdown of the circle section of the previous slide. I'd like to point out that our overtime chart in the upper right corner, coverage overtime, the blue section continues to dominate almost 50% of those budget funds due to vacancies and little shift relief factor on each shift in patrol and in dispatch. This chart illustrates our budget by department. Patrol and investigations make up over 50%. As part of the overall city budget, the police department has projects under the current CIP program. This slide accounts for the 5-year contract signed for body-worn cameras and tasers funded under the non-operating line. Under building and infrastructure, we have one project identified, and that's the new police facility. The project is estimated to be $42 million. The study completed in 2014 determined the current facility doesn't meet the space or law enforcement needs of the department. This has been reinforced in an update of that study and will further validate in the matrix evaluation currently being conducted. The new staffing and facility study will inform this project. Our IT rolling stock equipment resides under the information systems section of the city CIP program. This includes funding for items such as servers, laptops, ruggedized laptops, which are the laptops in the cruisers, personal computers, as well as things like printers and mobile radios. And lastly, our rolling stock resides under the vehicle and equipment section of the CIP. The vehicles identified in this plan are set on a replacement schedule based on use. For example, patrol cars have a 5-year lifespan and are usually retired at over 120,000 miles, whereas detective cars are rotated about every 10 years. We utilize some patrols cars if they have lower mileage when retired from that division, as for the school resources or animal control officer. We use our cars until their repair costs are prohibitive. In FY26, we projected to seek 4 vehicles. This concludes our public hearing on the FY20 budget requests, FY26 budget requests. The budget document is a living document until it's adopted. We welcome public comment and input on this budget between now and mid-March. As stated at the beginning of the meeting, the next police commission is February 19th, and the following meeting is March 18th as well. Please feel free to contact the commission or me regarding this budget proposal. We appreciate your input and time, and we look forward to any feedback from the public regarding our budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Just briefly, in a follow-up, from that analysis, 90% of the budget is personnel compensation. At least 85% of it is fixed cost as a result of contracts previously negotiated contracts. And is it fair to say that that budget cuts would only lead to an increased budget costs, because we're taking personnel by reducing the men and women power on a day-to-day basis? We still need to fill those shifts, and we still need to have the service and the calls, answer the calls for service. So we're talking about more overtime, a reduction in, which leads to a reduction in retention, and ultimately all that extra overtime lends to increased budget costs.
Correct. Yeah, so just by eliminate the position, not necessarily going to eliminate the cost, because it's going to be offset in a significant increase in the overtime budget.
Does anyone from the public?
You want me to come up here like I normally?
Oh, sure.
Sure.
Esther Kennedy, 41 Pickering Ave. Chief, thank you for the presentation, and I want to thank you for adding the social worker. As you probably remember, I was a real proponent of that and asking for it. With that said, I don't know how anyone here can make a decision tonight, because we don't have a line item budget. Peter and I have been to other budget hearings for this cycle, and it has a line item budget of actually what has been spent and what is up. These are just really big figures, and not getting into the line item. So what I did while the chief was talking, I went to December fiscal year to see where you are and how much was spent by December 30th. And by December 30th, you are already over, which is 6 months of your time. You were already over, you'd already spent 104% of certain line items. You spent 100% of a couple other ones, but nothing was really low to offset that. Most of them were over your percentage of what you should have had by that point, if you look at that document, which is right online. So I'd encourage you all to look at it. My concern is that we are asking, if we look at 23,000 citizens, right now you're at roughly $677 a person at a 2.9%. That $7,700 a person, or $77 a person more than the fire department. And, you know, we're having a hard time, Peter and I were, because we really can't see what is going on here. We weren't given a line item budget, which normally is what we're given, so we can cross between what was spent last year, so we can have a comment on it. And as a public, I feel like I'm at a disadvantage because we don't have that information. It's not online, so all I can do is go back to December. But what I would encourage us all to look at is what are we doing? We are putting, as Portsmouth, a lot of money in, and other communities are able to take advantage of that. In other words, you guys are doing a lot of investigation. I've seen it. You're running a lot of investigations that some of the small communities around us are taking advantage of, but can't necessarily have that capability in their own community. As we're seeing more and more of this, we asked the fire department last night, and I'm asking you tonight, to really look at, is there billable revenue? In other words, what can we bill other communities? Now, I get that we want to be friends with everyone, but at some point, we're going to have to say, we're going to have to start billing for our services. And other places in New Hampshire have started that for some of the smaller communities, but need to access our resources because they don't have the resources, or they don't have the people. They don't have the people trained. They don't have the setups that you folks have for investigation tools. So I would encourage you to look at that as kind of an overview. The other thing is, I guess I'm really worried that I'm trying to figure out, I'm sorry, because I'm being on a phone sometimes it's a little harder, but I'm trying to figure out, like, why are we already at 104% of our health insurance? So that means we misbudgeted somehow, or we've had major issues. And if we've had that, then how come, then is there any way to make it the 2.9? And are we being truthful to say we're going to try to make it if you can't even make it at half your point? You know, there's things like leave at determination. That is up way high in December. So you've already made past what your expectation was for the year. You've already surpassed that. There is, let's see, you're at 104 for longevity. You've already spent 104%, 50% of your year. So you're not even at the end of the year yet, in June, and you've already spent 104%. You're at overtime, you're at 90% use. So you've already used 90% of your overtime funds by December. You still have 6 months to go. And so where's that money coming from? Because nothing is at below 50%. Except for, there was one thing that was at 35%, and that was stipends. So by December, you've only spent 35% of your stipend allowance. So I guess I'm a little worried that we don't have the documentation tonight to have a conversation about line items. I'm also a little worried that when you look at your expenditures in December, you're already over 50% in every area except for longevity and in special detail. You're at 46%. So that tells me you're not living within your budget, and maybe you can't. I understand that might be an issue. But why? And we should have an explanation to why. What has changed, what has altered, what is been, documented. Those are the kinds of things. And you're at a disadvantage because you don't have a spreadsheet to see all that. And on a spreadsheet, if you were given as a board, you would be able to see that. And like we were with the fire last night, and they had a line item spreadsheet, but we knew where they were last year, we knew where they were the year before, and we knew what they were asking for now. And then you can cross-reference, and you can see, and then you can have a conversation about why. So I'm just trying to put this together here myself by looking at your December numbers, and I encourage you to look at them as a board, but I really feel as a disadvantage as a citizen, and I don't know if there's going to be another, or if this public hearing is going to continue so that spreadsheet can be created, but I'm hoping it is so that we can have another conversation about where you're at, where you want to go, and where you've been.
Thank you.
Peter Huda, 280 South Street. So I'm going to echo what Esther said. Like Esther stated, we were at the fire last night, and I'm a numbers person, so I'm looking for numbers. And just page 11, giving us, this is how much it's going up, and you still need to reduce by 400,000 to get to the 2.9, and then 427 to even get down to even further. So since I don't have any other numbers, I'm going to go back and kind of help you along here. I have been a budget analyst for almost 25 years, and this is what I look at. When I had to go and represent a department in front of management and get increases, I had to justify everything. So basically, I'm going to go back to the budget book of FY24, and what I'm looking at here is what you actually spent in FY23, which means this is what it costs to run this department. I don't have, I'm sure you do, have FY24 numbers of what it actually costs to run the department in FY24. I know you had you gave back $240,000. So obviously you were a little bit ahead there. But so when I actually go through and instead of looking at reducing FTEs right off the top, here are some suggestions, take them or leave them. This is what I look at. In your admin detective division, you actually spent in FY23 $863,000. You took your budget up in 25 to $1,076,000. So there might be a good reason. If you're following the direction from the council, you're adding 2.93 on top of the FY23 or 25 budget instead of what you actually spent and what you actually needed. So it's going to be a lot higher. So I would question why we went from 863 to over $1 million. Part-time salaries, you had 64,000, you went to 92. Overtime, you had 92, you went to 113. I think you get the gist here. Some of the things that really jumped out at me on the bottom of the page, and these are things that are just operating. They're not related directly to FTEs, which this is where you're going to have your wiggle room. I'm sure you know all this, Karen.
I do. And I can answer everybody's questions if I'm allowed.
Good. So, I mean, we had things like professional services. You spent $6,000, you only budgeted $2,000. Training, you spent $12,000, you budgeted $6,000. Miscellaneous supplies, you spent $7,000, almost $8,000, you only budgeted $4,000. So you're maybe this is what's happening in the first 6 months. I don't know. But these are the things that I'm going to be looking for, and I'm going to be looking for them at the numbers. The other thing that would, general patrol, now I know your numbers went up there, you're still down, but you're up 600,000 there. And I understand you were budgeting for additional patrol officers that didn't come on board. But we still have overtime. You spent $306,000. You only budgeted $198,000. Holiday premium pay, you were still down $135,000. You were up to $180,000. Some interesting things that you might be able to look at cutting back on. Furniture and fixtures, you spent $20,000. You only budgeted $2,000. There's a lot of things in here that I don't understand the jump, and I know I'm going to be asking, can we justify this? And I'm going to be asking that for just about everybody. Dispatch, down on the bottom, Karen, Look at your batteries. You only spent 4,000, you budgeted 9. Equipment, I don't understand, and then we had the situation last night with the fire department. They had to do a new boiler. He had to go out and bid it and get it. So I didn't understand how it didn't come into through the CIP. But it looks like you had the same thing here with equipment. You spent $78,599, and we went back down to 6,000. So I don't know if that was an emergency thing that we had to do, or how this is actually lining up. But the salaries and the personnel costs are not your only cost. You've got professional services, 37,000, and you're only budgeting 18. So the thing is, are you moving your other cost around because you're not filling the positions and the money is available? That's the other thing I'm gonna be looking for and asking. A lot of the stuff in training, salaries for uniform personnel, and this is in personnel and training. In FY23, you only spent $159,000. You put in $195. So, is there a reason that we have that size of an increase? For
Thank you, Petra. You're well past, you're going for 6 minutes, and I
Okay.
recognize it, and I appreciate that your points. I think if you want more specific information, certainly you can reach out, we can get you more detailed information and discuss it further.
Well, like Esther said, I will be looking for numbers when the next budget discussion comes in, and it's particularly FY24, because I'll be honest with you, I've never seen a presentation like this on the budget, just with numbers and nothing behind it. But, that's my background. Thank you,
Thank you.
and
Thank
I hope it helps.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else for comments? Okay. With that, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and so moved. This meeting is adjourned.